Did you hear about McDonald's and McDLT?
It could be the best tasting lettuce and tomato hamburger ever.
This is the new Coca-Cola, already taste-tested in Memphis, Tennessee.
Dance Dance Revolution, the hit Japanese dancing game.
Not every big idea becomes a success story. Some products promise the future, only to end up as massive flops. What went wrong, and why did these innovations crash so hard? Find out now in 50 innovative products that have failed miserably.
Her name is Lisa, and she's the most exciting thing to happen in computers today.
Back in January 1983, Apple unveiled the Lisa as its most ambitious venture yet. The first personal computer to boast a graphical user interface, complete with overlapping windows, intuitive icons and menus, and dedicated mouse support. Under the hood, it packed a Motorola 68000 processor and up to 1 MB of RAM, impressive for its day, but came with a staggering $9,995 sticker price, over $28,000 in today's dollars. Despite glowing press for its groundbreaking design and bundled productivity suite, the cost put it out of reach for most businesses and enthusiasts. Roughly 100,000 units trickled out of factories over 2 years, nowhere near Apple's lofty projections. In early 1985, the company quietly killed Lisa, absorbing lessons learned into its Macintosh line. While Lisa itself faded into history, its pioneering GUI concepts laid the foundation for every modern desktop.
RD series heavy-duty floppy disks featuring new high-energy magnetic particles.
Cast your mind back to the late 80s, when a 3.5-inch diskette held a mind-blowing 1.44 MB of data, enough for a few documents or a single low-res image. The enhanced density, ED, floppy, introduced in 1987, expanded storage to 2.88 MB, and a fleeting 21 MB zip version arrived in 1991 to the delight of hoarders of digital scraps. Clad in soft plastic shells, these platters spun at 300 RPM while clumsy Write Protect tabs guarded precious files. Yet, as software ballooned and hard drives shrank in price, the floppy's clumsy mechanics and limited capacity rendered it a relic by the mid-90s. Though manufacturers finally pulled the plug, the floppy lives on iconically in every save button worldwide, an enduring tribute to a technology that once ruled our desktops. But what happens when superior technology still isn't enough to secure victory?
Get a Sony Betamax video recorder and automatically videotape.
Sony's Betamax format hit the market in the mid-1970s, promising superior video quality and clearer audio than its rival, VHS. Technically, it was a winner, but it had 2 major flaws that sealed its fate. First, Sony kept tight control over Betamax by refusing to license it broadly, which meant far fewer manufacturers produced Betamax machines. Second, early Betamax tapes could only record up to 1 hour of footage, too short for most feature films. Meanwhile, JVC's VHS format offered longer recording times, rapidly improving quality, and a more open licensing model that encouraged competition and drove prices down. Consumers gravitated toward the more flexible, affordable option. Despite its early promise, Betamax quickly lost ground and became the go-to example of a product that was technologically superior, but a commercial failure. And when a product makes waves for all the wrong reasons, can it ever stay afloat? Let's see.
PC Junior from IBM, the computer that's growing by leaps and bounds.
Back in 1983, Coleco made a leap into home computing with the Atom system. Packed with 64 KB of RAM, a daisy wheel printer, twin tape drives, and an expansion port for peripherals, all for about $600. The Atom promised to revolutionize the PC market. Unfortunately, engineering shortcuts led to disastrous launch day failures. Flawed tape mechanisms wiped user data on startup, and power supply glitches triggered shutdowns. Frustrated owners returned machines by the thousands. Retailers seethed over lost sales, and review outlets mercilessly panned the device. Despite aggressive pricing and bundled software, only around 95,000 units shipped before Coleco pulled the plug in early 1985. The $35 million write-off wiped out profits, hastening Coleco's decline and leaving the atom remembered as a cautionary tale. Rushing hardware to market can derail even the most promising innovations.
The Kodak disc camera has automatic film advance.
In the early 1980s, Kodak tried to innovate with the Disc 4000, a pocket-sized camera using a rotating disc containing 15 tiny negatives. The design was sleek, modern, and aimed at casual users wanting a simpler alternative to 35mm. But while the camera looked futuristic, the results were anything but. The negatives were so small that enlargements turned out grainy, muddy, and low in detail. Consumers were asked to pay a premium price for noticeably worse prints. Labs also struggled to process the unusual format properly. While Kodak poured millions into marketing, customers quickly turned away. By 1984, the product line was quietly shelved, and the disc film itself was discontinued by 1999. Today, the Disc 4000 is mostly remembered as a classic case of style over substance in consumer tech.
Hello, Judy. The new 5200 Super System.
The Atari 5200, launched in 1982, was meant to succeed the blockbuster Atari 2600 and bring next-level gaming to homes. On paper, it had better graphics, more memory, and a sleek new look. But the reality was rough.
And now there's an adapter. For 2600 games? Nearly 300 2600 games. Now you're talking.
The controllers were notoriously unreliable, featuring a fragile analog stick that frequently broke or drifted. Even worse, the 5200 wasn't compatible with the vast Atari 2600 library unless you bought a separate adapter, something many gamers refused to do. With fewer launch titles and clunky hardware, the system quickly fell behind. By the time Atari made improvements, Nintendo's NES had captured the market. Despite its power, the 5200 is now remembered as a lesson in how bad design and poor planning can ruin even the most promising hardware. A beautiful failure indeed.
Lifesaver. This is Karen sucking it up, trying to get it to stop.
In the mid-1980s, the Lifesavers brand took a leap from candy to carbonated drink with Lifesavers soda. The concept seemed clever. Leverage the candy's iconic fruit flavors in a bubbly, colorful beverage. Initial taste tests were reportedly positive, but public reaction was very different. Consumers found the soda overly sweet, almost like drinking syrup, and many were confused by the idea of liquid candy. Even kids weren't impressed. Despite heavy advertising, the soda failed to stand out on shelves filled with more familiar cola and citrus options. Sales were dismal, and the product disappeared almost as quickly as it arrived. It's now a classic case of brand overreach. Just because people like a flavor in candy doesn't mean they want it in a drink. A bold but baffling flop.
Pepsi AM was a version of Pepsi that was meant to be drank during the morning hours.
In 1989, Pepsi introduced Pepsi AM, an ambitious attempt to make soda a morning staple. It had slightly more caffeine and was marketed as an alternative to coffee for those who didn't like hot drinks. The branding promised a bold start to your day, but the idea baffled consumers. Breakfast soda felt unnatural, and many didn't want to swap their morning brew for cola. The flavor wasn't different enough to stand out, and the concept didn't match how people actually started their day. Unsurprisingly, Pepsi AM fizzled quickly. It became a textbook example of how trying to invent a need, rather than solve one, rarely works. Despite its short shelf life, it's still remembered for its odd ambition. After all, nothing quite says bad idea like soda for sunrise. When Mattel released the Power Glove in 1989 for the NES, it promised something straight out of science fiction: motion-controlled gaming. Players could theoretically control games with hand gestures, thanks to sensors and flex wires. But in practice, it barely worked. Controls were wildly inaccurate, the setup was confusing, and only a handful of games supported it. None of them memorable. Still, the Power Glove captured imaginations. Despite being a commercial flop, it became a cult symbol of 1980s tech ambition, and later inspired devices like the Nintendo Wii and VR controllers. With only 100,000 or so sold, it's remembered more for its iconic design and pop culture appearances than actual gameplay. The Power Glove wasn't the future of gaming, but it did help point the way toward it.
A cleaner feel. Premier. The cleaner smoke.
In 1988, R.J. Reynolds, one of the largest tobacco companies in the world, invested a staggering $325 million in a radical new product: smokeless cigarettes called Premier. The goal? Offer a cigarette that didn't burn tobacco, just heated it, supposedly reducing harmful chemicals. But the product was a disaster. Smokers complained of the odd taste, plastic-like smell, and weak nicotine delivery. Non-smokers weren't impressed either. With nearly no public interest and harsh reviews from test markets, Premier flopped hard. R.J. Reynolds pulled the plug just 4 months after launch, making it one of the costliest product failures in tobacco history. Premier's quick demise showed that even industry giants can misjudge their market, and that sometimes trying to reinvent the cigarette just leaves everyone choking on bad ideas.
Introducing the Timex Sinclair 1000, the first of a new generation of computers.
Timex, partnering with Sinclair Research, entered the U.S. computer market in the early 80s with ultra-budget home computers like the Timex Sinclair 1000. Priced around $100, it promised affordable computing for everyone. But you got what you paid for: a harsh membrane keyboard, just 2 KB of RAM, and nearly no storage or power. Programs took ages to load, often from cassette tape, and the user experience was painfully slow. While initial sales were strong due to the low price, customer satisfaction was low and returns were high. Timex exited the market within 2 years. Though the machines sold in the millions globally, they failed to establish a lasting appeal. The Timex Sinclair series became an example of how cutting corners to reach a price point can alienate users completely. Before Laserdisc hit homes, there was MCA's DiscoVision, a cutting-edge video format launched in the late 1970s. It offered superb picture quality compared to VHS and Betamax, thanks to analog optical storage. But DiscoVision discs were fragile and prone to skipping or even shattering. The players were staggeringly expensive, sometimes costing more than a used car, and couldn't record. Meanwhile, VHS offered a cheaper, more flexible alternative for time-shifting TV and home rentals. DiscoVision quickly flopped, but the underlying tech evolved into Laserdisc, which found niche success among cinephiles and educators. Still, neither format ever broke through to mainstream consumers. Both ultimately lost to DVDs in the late 1990s. DiscoVision is remembered as a visionary failure. Too advanced, too expensive, and too impractical for its time.
These are the Nagel women. Nagel women usually have sleek black hair.
Patrick Nagel's art defined 80s chic. Sleek, stylized women rendered in flat planes of black, white, and pastel tones, all framed by bold geometric shapes. His portraits, aloof figures with sharp cheekbones, perfectly coiled hair, and inscrutable gazes, became shorthand for cool confidence and modern glamour. Nagel's work flooded album covers, magazine spreads, and bachelor pad walls, spawning countless knockoffs that capitalized on his instantly recognizable aesthetic. Today, his images still feel fresh, evoking an era of neon lights and new wave energy, yet they transcend their decade with timeless graphic flair. It's fitting that in a vintage craftsman home, a lone Nagel print mysteriously hangs, a reminder that true style never fades, even when its origins slip into obscurity. What if you found out that there was a whole other piece of arcade-style tech that had us dancing for hours? Let's find out. Stepping onto that flashing pad felt like entering another dimension. Each arrow lit up in sync with pounding beats, and your heart raced as you matched step to step.
Dance Dance Revolution, the hit Japanese dancing game. Bring the arcade experience to life in your own home with the Dance Dance Revolution dance pads.
When Dance Dance Revolution first hit arcades, players lined up for their turn, ready to prove they had lightning-fast feet. Sweaty palms gripped the rail as neon arrows guided your every move. The more accurate you were, the higher your combo score climbed. It wasn't just a game, it was a social ritual. Friends shouting encouragement, crowds gathering to watch epic fails, and the thrill of nailing a perfect run. Though home consoles later brought DDR pads into living rooms, nothing quite matched the adrenaline of the arcade's thunderous speakers. Even now, a select group of die-hard fans keeps the competitive spirit alive at tournaments. In the heyday of the aughts, nothing said cool like grabbing a bottle of Sobe, a vibrant concoction of teas, juices, and flavored waters, all sporting that iconic lizard logo. Bright hues glowed behind glass bottles promising exotic flavors that tasted like sunshine in a sip. Convenience store fridges were stocked floor to ceiling, and whenever you cracked the cap, the fruity aroma felt like a mini vacation.
It's pretty damn delicious. I actually usually I get strawberry first, but I got a nice whiff of banana before I actually had the aftertaste of strawberry, so it was pretty...
But when PepsiCo switched to plastic packaging in 2007, a key piece of Sobe's charm slipped away. Sales dipped, and eventually, the brand vanished from many shelves. These days, hunting down an authentic glass-bottled Sobe feels like a scavenger hunt. Nostalgia in liquid form, if you can find it at all. AOL Instant Messenger, or AM, was launched in 1997, but exploded in popularity during the early 2000s. With its distinctive soundbite, "You've got mail," each login sparked excitement.
You've got mail. You've got pictures.
Creating a sleek username, that perfect mix of cool and cryptic, felt like crafting an online persona. Friends hovered over typing indicators, anxiously waiting for responses that would light up the screen. Away messages evolved into mini blogs, revealing moods with quotes, song lyrics, or mysterious teases. File transfers shared pixelated GIFs and embarrassing selfies. Chat rooms buzzed with inside jokes, planning weekend meetups long before social media created event pages. Yet, as smartphones and social networks rose, AIM's servers grew quiet. By 2017, the service shut down, leaving generations nostalgic for its simple, real-time magic. Now, its legacy lives on in every blue-checked chat bubble you see today. The turn of the millennium saw a high-fidelity duel, DVD audio versus SACD. Audiophiles envisioned crystal-clear soundtracks that surpassed CDs, with richer bass, wider sound stages, and immersive surround mixes. Early reviews praised both formats, but casual listeners barely noticed the difference. Specialty players were expensive, and music libraries remained stubbornly on standard CDs or moving to MP3s and online music stores.
On the DVD audio, they had to transfer it to DSD to produce the SACD. Do they sound any different? I haven't really given it a proper shootout.
Retailers stocked a few titles, but without mass adoption, record labels lost interest. Today, SACDs and DVD audio discs still trickle out for devoted collectors. Still, the format war ended in a draw. Neither format claimed mainstream victory, and most of us stream or download high-resolution files instead. When Apple unveiled the G4 Cube in 2000, jaws dropped at its elegant minimalist design, a 7.7-inch transparent acrylic cube that floated on its base. Inside, a PowerPC G4 processor delivered desktop-class performance.
Combining the power of the Power Mac G4, the awesome power of this machine.
But that beauty came with a hefty price tag and some quirky limitations. No room for standard expansion cards and a reliance on external devices for upgrades. Sales never matched Apple's hopes, and production ended roughly a year later. Though it remains an icon of industrial design, the Cube's impracticalities made it more of a museum piece than a mainstream computer. Today, it's a collector's dream, proof that groundbreaking form sometimes outshines everyday function. MySpace was the digital playground of the mid-2000s, where everyone crafted profile pages adorned with glitter GIFs, auto-playing music, and custom HTML themes. Curating your top 8 friends became a social minefield. One slight misstep could cost your place in someone's inner circle. Profiles loaded slowly, thanks to over-the-top decorations and code clutter, but we didn't mind. We felt like online rock stars. Musicians discovered global audiences, while users vied to outdo each other with flashiest pages. Yet, as Facebook's cleaner interface and real-name policies took hold, MySpace's chaos became its downfall. By the early 2010s, its user base had plummeted, and the site refocused on music alone.
Old enough to remember MySpace, then you know just how much music was uploaded to the social site over the years. But I gotta tell you, at least 12 years of that music is now lost for good.
Still, for many, those neon-soaked profiles represent a precious slice of internet history. Imagine fitting a half gigabyte of data onto a disk no larger than a quarter. That was the promise of data play when it made a splash at CES in January 2001, grabbing the Best of Show award. Tiny and sleek, these discs held up to 500 MB, enough for photos, music, or crucial documents. iRiver teased a dedicated player design, fueling excitement.
With corporate pressure to move to tapeless workflows and reduce storage costs, Sony's OptiDisc archive solution lineup is an excellent choice to protect your content now and in the future.
Yet, despite demo units and press headlines, neither the device nor the discs reached retail. High production costs, complex licensing, and the rapid rise of flash media doomed the format. Consumers gravitated toward CDRs and USB drives offering proven reliability and bigger file sizes. By late 2001, data play quietly vanished, known today only in tech archives. Its fleeting triumph reminds us how prototypes don't always translate to shelf success. In 2002, the Segway rolled out with a promise to revolutionize city streets. Its 2 self-balancing wheels, gyroscopic sensors, and silent electric motor looked like the future of personal transport.
Segway says it'll stop producing its iconic PT scooter beginning in July. Factories will be halting production July the 15th, and more than 20 people at its New Hampshire plant will be let go.
Early demos featured business executives gliding through airports and cruise ships, backed by hefty price tags and celebrity endorsements. Jeff Bezos hailed it as one of the most anticipated product launches ever, but reality diverged from the dream. High cost, regulatory hurdles, and crowded sidewalks made Segways impractical for everyday commuters. They never became a mainstream commuting staple or urban game changer.
Might be devastated with this next story. Segway's got to be the thing of the past, you know? The company that makes them says production will stop.
Despite loyal fan communities and a pivot to industrial uses, the Segway remains a niche novelty rather than the mobility revolution it once promised to be. In early 2003, Microsoft unveiled Smart Display, codename Mira, as a wireless monitor that transformed into a tablet tethered to your PC. Slender and glossy, it felt like a glimpse into tomorrow. Scroll through documents from the couch, check email from the kitchen, or pilot PowerPoint from a meeting room.
We see a tablet that represents a unique vision for the seamless expression of entertainment and creativity.
But the era's slow 802.11b connections turned quick detours into laggy waiting rooms. Battery life lagged behind, performance hiccups sprang up under heavy use, and the collar clip docking station added more desk clutter than convenience. By December 2003, negligible sales convinced Microsoft to pull the plug. Its concept resurfaced years later in modern tablets and thin clients, but the original Mira remains a footnote, a reminder that timing and infrastructure can make or break innovation. Burning a mix CD was an art form and a rite of passage in the 2000s. Blank discs stacked by the dozen, ready to capture the perfect sequence of hits, deep cuts, and hidden gems.
LightScribe used existing optical drive technology to burn monochrome images onto the label side of optical media, either CDs or DVDs.
Every crackle of the drive and flicker of the progress bar built anticipation. Crafting a playlist for your crush or best friend felt intimate and bespoke, a gift encoded in layers of plastic. Yet glitches lurked. Burn error messages after painstaking waits, wasted discs strewn in recycling bins, and unbalanced audio that rattled speakers. The rise of file-sharing networks and later streaming playlists rendered physical mixes obsolete. While nostalgia lingers, the tactile patience of burning, labeling, and packaging music has vanished, stored today in cloud folders and gathering dust on forgotten CD racks. Launched in 2003, HD Radio aimed to upgrade the airwaves with crystal-clear broadcasts and bonus channels, all without subscription fees.
It's very small. It's going to allow you to finally tune into those HD radio stations in your home and get that crystal clear digital radio.
Listeners could tune into CD-quality audio on compatible receivers, as well as access traffic alerts, song metadata, and local subchannels. But adoption stalled as chipmakers grappled with manufacturing costs and radio brands overlooked consumer education. Dashboards and home stereos rarely featured HD modules, while broadcasters hesitated to upgrade costly transmitters. Even in 2025, a handful of models, such as Sony's XDR F1 HD and budget insignia units, hint at renewed interest, yet many drivers remain blissfully unaware. As streaming services dominate, HD radio's promise of free digital clarity remains a faint whisper on crowded dials. In October 2001, Apple unveiled the iPod.
Today is National iPod Day. The original iPod was unveiled by Steve Jobs and Apple on this day back in 2001. Can you remember it, Gil?
A sleek white rectangle that promised hundreds of songs in your pocket.
Now, the most important of these devices are, of course, the digital camera, the digital camcorder, the DVD player, and portable digital music players.
Overnight, it reshaped how music was consumed, transforming tangled CD collections into a digital jukebox that could be carried everywhere. Its click wheel became a tactile icon, offering a satisfying spin with each song selection. Battery life felt like magic, running for days, whereas CD players would die within hours. Even without a touchscreen or internet browser, its simple interface made music discovery feel effortless. Crowds swelled at launch events, and suddenly everyone, students, commuters, runners, was on a mission to fill their iPod.
iPod has been a giant hit for us. We've got the 5 gigabyte iPod, 1,000 songs in your pocket. With iPod, we struck a middle path.
It was more than a gadget. It was a cultural stamp. Yet, for all its triumph, Apple's next challenge was already looming on the horizon. In 2004, Motorola captured imaginations with the Razr V3, a flip phone so slender that it felt more like an accessory than a gadget. Its anodized aluminum shell glinted in every color, from classic silver to daring hot pink, making it the must-have fashion statement of the era.
Brand new Motorola Razr V3. The super thin flip phone that's getting a lot of hype.
Underneath the stylish exterior lay a surprising feature set. A VGA front display for caller ID, a 720 mAh battery that outlasted many clunkier rivals, and Bluetooth connectivity for hands-free calls. Yet its ultra-thin design came at a cost. The keypad membrane was flimsy, leading to sticky keys and cracked screens. Cloning concerns and limited storage also tested patience. When Motorola revived the Razr name in 2020, as a foldable smartphone, critics lamented its hefty price and middling specs. Still, the original Razr remains a defining icon of the 2000s. Discovery Zone burst onto America's family entertainment scene in October 1989, pitching itself as a playground paradise for kids of all ages. With its perky Z-Bop mascot guiding pint-sized explorers through neon-lit mazes, towering slides, and cavernous ball pits, it promised birthday party bliss and rain or shine excitement. The chain inked high-profile partnerships, most notably a sponsorship with Sesame Street and in-store Blockbuster kiosks, to cement its status as the coolest weekend hangout. But rapid expansion proved its undoing. Franchisees buckled under soaring real estate and staffing costs, while ballooning debt sapped the parent company's resolve. Despite last-ditch restructuring attempts, Discovery Zone slid into Chapter 11 and gradually closed every center by 2001. Nowadays, former fans still swap stories of epic ball pit battles and prize-winning arcade showdowns, proof that even the fastest flops can leave lasting memories.
Introducing the great new taste of Coca-Cola, the best tasting Coke.
When Coca-Cola introduced its sweeter formula, New Coke, on April 23, 1985, executives believed the change would stun Pepsi and revolutionize the cola market. They had conducted extensive taste tests in multiple cities, where a majority of participants favored the new blend over both original Coke and Pepsi. But when New Coke hit store shelves, an unexpected backlash erupted. Loyal customers flooded the company's hotlines and mailboxes with complaints demanding the classic flavor's return. Within just 77 days, Coca-Cola bowed to public pressure and reintroduced the original formula as Coca-Cola Classic. The episode proved that even the most positive market research can't predict emotional attachments built over generations.
If you're looking for a store where every video on display is always ready to rent, then come to Paradise.
During the 1980s, Friday nights meant cruising to the local video rental store. Brightly lit aisles overflowed with VHS tapes, action flicks, rom-coms, obscure indies. Independent mom-and-pop shops often carried hidden gems that Blockbuster passed over, and late-fee debates were a rite of passage. Browsing those shelves built anticipation, an experience streaming can't replicate. Then came Netflix DVDs by mail, followed by on-demand streaming, and the clattering VHS racks went silent. The last video store now stands as a nostalgic oddity. No more frantic searches for a copy in stock, no more rewind warnings. What remains is a wistful memory of community corners where cinephiles traded tips and miscounts of due date.
The Sinclair C5, 399 pounds. Want to buy one?
Sir Clive Sinclair aimed to revolutionize urban transport with the Sinclair C5, a battery-powered electric tricycle launched in 1985. Compact, quiet, and futuristic-looking, it was pitched as the ideal solution for short city commutes. But it had serious flaws. It topped out at just 15 mph, offered no protection from rain or cold, and sat so low to the ground that drivers often couldn't see it, raising major safety concerns. Its limited battery range and the need to pedal uphill didn't help either. Worse still, the marketing was muddled. Was it a car alternative or just a quirky gadget? Consumers were confused and unimpressed. Sales nosedived and production ended within the year. Though it has since gained cult status for its bold ambition, the C5 flopped hard at launch, widely seen as a toy rather than the future of transport.
PXL 2000 video system. Now you can be seen and heard.
Launched in 1987, the PXL 2000 was Fisher-Price's bold attempt to introduce kids to movie making. Unlike traditional camcorders, it recorded low-resolution black-and-white video onto regular audio cassettes, a quirky workaround that kept costs down but tanked quality. The footage was jittery, pixelated, and barely legible on screen. At 180, it was a tough sell for families expecting real video. Still, the lo-fi charm caught the eye of underground filmmakers and video artists in the 90s, who embraced its gritty, distorted look. Despite this cult afterlife, it failed commercially. Most kids and parents were unimpressed, and production ceased not long after launch. Today, the PXL 2000 is more likely to show up in an art gallery than a toy chest. A weird, wonderful flop that was ahead of its time in all the wrong ways.
The latest and greatest movies are on Laserdisc at Video and Sound downtown.
When Laserdisc debuted in the late 1970s, it promised crystal clear video and superior audio, light years ahead of VHS. The large, vinyl-like discs looked impressive, but they came with major drawbacks. Players were expensive, discs were bulky, and the format didn't allow home recording, unlike VHS, which became a household staple. Plus, you often had to flip or swap discs mid-movie.
Well, home entertainment has never seen the likes of this before.
Despite its clear image quality, Laserdisc arrived too late. By the time it gained traction, VHS had already dominated rentals and sales. It found niche success in Japan, film schools, and among cinephiles, but mainstream audiences never bit. In the end, it became a high-end curiosity, a flashy, high-fidelity product that couldn't overcome its size, cost, or timing. Laserdisc's fate proved that being better isn't enough. You also have to be what people want.
Did you hear about McDonald's new McDLT?
It could be the best tasting lettuce and tomato hamburger ever!
In the 1980s, McDonald's introduced the McDLT, a burger that came in a double styrofoam container. One side held the hot patty and bun bottom, the other kept the lettuce, tomato, and top bun cool, so you could assemble it yourself and enjoy both hot and crisp at once.
McDonald's wants you to join McDLT.
The hot stays hot and the cool stays cool. You get a quarter pound of beef on the hot.
While clever in concept, the McDLT had major flaws. Customers didn't enjoy the DIY aspect and questioned why a fast food chain made them finish the prep. Worse, environmental concerns were mounting, and the bulky styrofoam packaging drew sharp criticism. Sales dipped, and the McDLT quietly vanished. Though some still remember its catchy jingle and clever slogan, the McDLT serves as a nostalgic reminder that over-engineering a burger can backfire, especially when it involves two compartments and a conscience.
Commodore released the Commodore 64 GS.
In 1990, Commodore reimagined its popular Commodore 64 as a dedicated gaming console, the C64 GS game system. It ditched the keyboard and ran on cartridges only, aiming to compete with Nintendo and Sega. But there were problems from the start. It had no keyboard or disk drive support, which meant it couldn't play the massive library of Commodore 64 software users already loved. Developers were reluctant to produce new cartridges for a shrinking audience. With only a handful of games and limited appeal, the C64 GS flopped hard. Even loyal Commodore fans felt alienated. Less than 100,000 units were sold, and it vanished within a year. What could have been a promising console became another reminder that trimming down a classic system doesn't always make it better. It can just make it obsolete.
Today I am so excited to share with you the story of the DOT.
Released by Computer Devices Inc. in 1983, the DOT computer featured an Intel 8088 processor and MS-DOS support, seemingly ready to take on the IBM PC. But under the hood, it wasn't fully IBM compatible. That critical flaw meant major business software and peripherals didn't always work. Priced competitively but lacking the one thing customers truly needed, reliability and compatibility, the DOT struggled from the start. Sales barely broke 2,000 units before the end of the year. Layoffs followed and CDI filed for bankruptcy shortly after. The DOT was technologically impressive but strategically flawed. It stands as a cautionary tale from the early PC wars. In a market built on standards, almost compatible means not compatible enough, and that's all it takes for a promising machine to crash and burn.
From Seiko comes the world's first ever TV watch.
In 1982, Seiko unveiled the world's first TV watch, a marvel of miniaturization featuring a 1.2-inch screen. It looked like something out of James Bond. but the fantasy fell apart fast. The watch itself only displayed video. A bulky receiver box, connected by wires, had to be clipped to your belt. The screen was so tiny it was nearly unwatchable, and the battery life was laughably short. At around $500, it was a pricey novelty few could justify. Though it made headlines and turned heads, the TV watch was never practical and quickly disappeared from store shelves. It lives on as a charming relic of 80s tech optimism, a wearable future that sounded amazing in ads but didn't work in real life.
You have to buy separately.
Atari's E.T., the extraterrestrial game for the 2600, is often called the worst video game ever made, and possibly the one that nearly killed the industry. Rushed out in just 5 weeks to hit Christmas 1982, it was plagued by confusing objectives, clunky controls, and repetitive, broken gameplay. Kids were baffled, parents were annoyed, and the game tanked. Atari had manufactured millions of copies, expecting a hit, but retailers returned unsold boxes in droves. The failure contributed to Atari's collapse and the broader 1983 video game crash. Legend holds that millions of unsold E.T. cartridges were dumped in a New Mexico landfill, confirmed decades later. It remains a legendary example of what happens when hype, licensing, and rushed deadlines collide, resulting in digital disaster.
Zap mail from Federal Express, when overnight is just not fast enough.
In the mid-1980s, FedEx tried to reinvent document delivery with Zapmail, a high-speed, fax-based service that promised same-day delivery without overnight shipping. Offices could send documents electronically to a FedEx center, which would print and deliver them locally. It was a massive investment, with a national infrastructure rollout and intense marketing. But it didn't account for two things: the rapid fall in fax machine prices and the rise of desktop computing and email. Businesses soon realized they could send documents directly, faster and cheaper, without FedEx as the middleman. Zapmail cost the company hundreds of millions and was discontinued by 1986. Today, it's remembered as a high-tech misstep from a logistics giant, a case of reading the future correctly but missing how fast it was arriving. Remember the nail-biting suspense of tapping the 7 key 4 times just to type an S? Though T9 was born in the late 90s, it truly ruled the texting world in the 2000s, helping us fly through those clunky 3x4 keypads, even if it turned half our messages into complete gibberish.
When you want to text someone, you could text whole paragraphs. Back in our day, we used a thing called T9 texting. A flip phone would only have 9 buttons. Each button would have 3 letters.
A quick message could turn into an accidental "duck you," or "we're meeting at 5," morphing into "we're meet in hive." Despite the constant battles with autocorrect light, we still managed to churn out texts at record speed, proving that nothing could stop our urge to stay connected. Thankfully, today's smartphones have full QWERTY screens and predictive text that actually makes sense, so we can send messages without performing a keypad dance. But when standalone DVD recorders rolled into stores around 1999, they promised to be the next VCR, except sleeker and digital. Consumers imagined effortlessly burning home videos or favorite TV shows straight to shiny discs. In reality, menus were clunky, setups confusing, and burn times painfully long. Before these machines could catch on, cable and satellite DVRs, and the rise of TiVo, swooped in with faster, simpler recording options.
There are other DVRs today that can record unlimited programs. Make sure that the TV service provider that you choose has the best technology and the latest equipment.
Meanwhile, computer DVD burners gave tech enthusiasts more control and customization. By the mid-2000s, the living room DVD recorder had become an afterthought in America, relegated to bargain bins. When Cable Card debuted in 2004, it promised a world without clunky cable boxes. Just slide a card into your TV or PC for instant access to premium channels. The concept thrilled early adopters who dreamed of sleek, all-in-one entertainment hubs.
Anything that I have in the house with a screen that includes TVs and computers and phones can get access to that cable subscription, and I don't have to pay Comcast a dime to do it.
However, the reality was more complex. Compatibility varied significantly across brands, and setup required intricate interactions with cable providers. Viewers faced limited DVR support, and monthly authorization resets left households without TV on busy nights. Industry stalling and minimal marketing doomed cable card before mainstream users caught on. Even a promised 2.0 upgrade failed to resolve core issues. While successor technologies like True Two-Way and All-Vid have taken their shots, cable card remains a footnote in cable history. In 1999, Sony introduced Aibo, a pint-sized robotic puppy with a wagging tail, expressive eyes, and a playful AI personality. It could recognize faces, learn new tricks, and respond to touch, an adorable companion for tech fans.
You'll see this kind of pet robot be staying at the home. Not only one, but the 2, 3, 4, 5 robots will be moving in each home.
But at roughly $2,500, Aibo was a luxury toy few could afford, and its battery life and unpredictability sometimes left owners frustrated. As the market shifted and development costs soared, Sony discontinued the original Aibo line in 2006. Collectors mourned the loss, while a few dedicated fans hacked their Aibos to extend their lifespans. Today, Sony has revived Aibo with a pricier model, but the charm of that first robotic dog, fuzzy memories programmed into hardware, remains a testament to an idea that was ahead of its time. In October 2000, 3Com debuted the Ergo Audrey, an internet appliance named after Audrey Hepburn, featuring a touchscreen display, an email client, audio/video playback, and Palm OS syncing.
Key component of datatricity for the nerve center of the modern home is here. It's Audrey from 3Com, the first member of the Ergo family.
It promised to be the first in a line of smart home devices, a gateway to effortless online living. Instead, it stumbled over high price tags, limited functionality, and the dot-com crash. By June 2001, the Audrey was discontinued, leaving behind a handful of curious units gathering dust. While the idea of a dedicated internet terminal in every home made sense on paper, the technology and market were not yet ready. Still, Audrey laid the groundwork for future devices like tablets and smart displays that would finally nail the concept. Long before slates became household staples, Microsoft and partners launched the tablet PC in 2001. These clamshell laptops featured stylus-driven touchscreens and allowed users to chart handwritten notes in real time. In classrooms and boardrooms, enthusiasts appreciated the novelty.
Classes to go to, exams to cram for, all that stuff to carry around. So simplified with a tablet PC.
Yet the devices were heavy, had short battery life, and ran Windows XP Tablet Edition with some difficulty. Mainstream users found typing on physical keyboards and navigating with a mouse to be far more efficient. Consequently, tablet PCs remained a niche for years. It wasn't until Apple's 2010 iPad, lightweight, intuitive, and app-driven, that the tablet form factor truly took off. In retrospect, the original tablet PC was a crucial stepping stone, showing both the promise and pitfalls of pen-centric computing. At the turn of the millennium, customizing your phone with a unique ringtone became a badge of honor. Investing roughly $2.50 to download the latest hit, or setting up the radio to record a snippet, felt like a small price for style. Those distinctive chirps, pings, and catchy hooks announced one's arrival at crowded hallways, buzzing offices, and packed dorm rooms. But as smartphones exploded into daily life and notifications multiplied, silence reigned supreme. Who wants an orchestra of alerts during back-to-back meetings or family dinners? Meanwhile, streaming services unlocked every track at your fingertips, making paid snippets redundant. Today, default rings sit quietly in silent mode, and the novelty of a custom melody has faded. But that's just the beginning. Wait until you hear about the next gadget, which promised portable storage greatness before disappearing without a trace. Sony's Micro MV launched in 2001, promising the world's smallest video cassette for camcorders.
Mini DV was extremely popular, but Sony were thinking about making something even smaller. So they came up with Micro MV, they shrunk the tape size.
Roughly half the size of mini DV tapes, Micro MV packed only 60 minutes of MPEG-2 video. Its tiny footprint allowed designers to shrink camcorders to unheard-of proportions, until users saw the footage. Grainy images, frequent glitches, and compression artifacts plagued recordings. Additionally, Micro MV equipment carried premium price tags, making affordable mini DV and emerging hard drive recorders appear to be better bets. As flash-based and HDD camcorders rolled out mid-decade, offering superior quality, longer recording times, and easier file transfers, Micro MV quickly joined the obsolete ranks. Sony released the last Micro MV camcorder in 2006, then quietly retired the format. Today, tracking down working Micro MV decks is a niche hobby, proof that smaller isn't always better when image quality suffers. At the 2003 CES, Microsoft unveiled Spot smartwatches, promising news, weather, and stock updates delivered directly to your wrist via FM radio signals. These chunky timepieces boasted customizable watch faces and MSN direct services, with partners like Fossil and Suunto driving sleek prototypes. Imagine checking headlines without pulling out a phone, an idea ahead of its time.
And that is by pointing it at a CRT monitor on your PC running Windows 3.1, and it synchronizes just by looking at your display.
Yet, reception was patchy, draining batteries faster than users expected. Monthly subscription fees for MSN Direct added up, and developers struggled with limited memory and coarse monochrome screens. Even bundling a basic version free failed to win over consumers glued to emerging smartphones. By 2008, Microsoft quietly discontinued Spot, leaving a handful of dedicated fans tinkering with hardware hacks. Before you tally its legacy, brace for a daring effort that attempted to eliminate the cable box. Before streaming took over, Netflix DVDs rewrote movie rentals with its mail-order service. Red envelopes tumbled into mailboxes like Christmas morning. No late fees, no store runs, just home delivery. Subscribers curated queues of blockbusters, indies, and cult classics, praying their top picks didn't carry a very long wait. For a generation, the system felt miraculous. Physical disc access to virtually any film without setting foot outside. But as high-speed streaming rose in popularity, disc rentals transformed into a niche perk.
How does streaming compare with the good old-fashioned DVD?
Streaming is convenient, but there's a huge trade-off in quality. With a basic Netflix subscription, movies you watch are not in high definition.
Although Netflix still ships DVDs, its once expansive catalog has dwindled, confined to select titles and loyal subscribers. The romance of holding a flick, browsing inserts, and tearing open that red envelope has given way to instant clicks, proof that even groundbreaking services evolve or fade. In 2003, Tapwave unveiled the Zodiac, a handheld meant to blend gaming and PDA functionality. Running on a tweaked Palm OS, it boasted vibrant graphics, multimedia playback, and a niche library of exclusive titles.
When I want to listen to my music, manage my life, and to game. To game! I'm talking 3D graphics, full motion video, analog controller.
Reviewers praised its sleek design and raw power, but the ecosystem behind it was brittle. Major game studios balked at support, leaving the store stocked with only a handful of games. Meanwhile, Sony's PlayStation Portable boasted a stronger brand, deeper pockets, and a marketing blitz that overshadowed Zodiac's niche appeal. Financial strains forced Tapwave to shutter operations in 2005, cutting off firmware updates and distribution. Today, the Zodiac survives as a collector's oddity, an ambitious device felled by competition and lack of developer backing. Before mobile app stores and console exclusives, Windows Minesweeper reigned as the default time killer.
Minesweeper. How to play. The object of the game is to uncover the map without clicking on any mines. Open a new game, then left-click randomly.
One wrong click detonated pixelated mines in cheerful explosions, turning logic puzzles into tiny victories and occasional frustrations. Rainy afternoons at school computer labs, living rooms, and cubicles became battlegrounds of deduction and blind guesses. The thrill of clearing a grid, chasing faster times, and mastering patterns transformed a simple utility into an unexpected obsession. Yet, despite free availability and timeless gameplay, Minesweeper never evolved beyond its basic interface. Graphics stayed static, levels remained uniform, and features stayed minimal. Today, it lives on through phone ports and browser clones, but in a gaming world of flashy visuals and microtransactions, its humble grid feels like a delightful throwback. When Nokia merged phone and gaming ambitions in 2003, the N-Gage seemed poised to rewrite both rulebooks. Instead, its sideways calling method earned it the nickname Taco Phone, and gamers grumbled over awkward button layouts that made epic quests feel less immersive.
The N-Gage is the hottest new item on the market for gamers. It's a gaming deck, a cell phone, MP3 player, AM/FM stereo.
Swapping game cartridges meant removing the back cover and battery, a fiddly ritual that killed the thrill before the first boss fight. Battery life tanked under heavy play, and reception issues turned multiplayer duels into ghost towns. Still, the N-Gage boasted a spirited library that included exclusive titles and early online play.
N-Gage is a totally new way to game. It takes gaming to an entirely new level. It's wireless, multiplayer, online, unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Retailers couldn't stock units fast enough, but consumers stayed away. Despite a redesign in 2004, Nokia was unable to shake the stigma. And while fans cherished a few hidden gems, the gadget's journey was far from over.